And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. We're coming back with an all-new episode this week. I just got to figure out the day and time, but we are going to go ahead and get back into the swing of things with fantasy football. Football's around the corner as far as the actual games that do count in the standings. So we're going to go ahead and get you prepped for your fantasy football team with Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus also as well, John Costa, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. He is planning more episodes. I know he had a lively one last week in regards to the bubble asterisks or whatever the guy that he had on the show with, Rob J, Warriors fan, who spoke throughout that show like a Warriors fan. It's just jealous. It's because the Lakers won and his team didn't. So I just leave it at that. But yes, they had a lively discussion for Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. Also as well, he stops by here, Mr. John Costa. Anytime he does so, it is greatly appreciated. I know he works hard, so truly got to share some love for John Costa. The Lakerholics crew hopefully will be back this coming weekend. They were not able to come together for a meeting of the minds this past weekend. It's that time of the year, folks. Sorry, it's a little bit slower. So they've got things they had to attend to. Hopefully they'll be back yelling at each other about the Lakers coming up this weekend. And you can also catch them today at Lakerholics.com. Good friend, Empire Jeff TV. He was covering the Dodgers recently, talking about Clayton Kershaw. I know that's a sore issue to some of the Dodgers fans out there. So you want to go ahead and hear what he has to say. Empire Jeff TV is out there. I know he does some Lakers stuff still as well. Lakers in 5 is trying hard out there to get your attention. So go ahead and support them whenever you can. John McCallion is back on YouTube. Got to share some love out there. I know our good friends, Stone Hansen, he's still out there at report_court. Good to hear him out there and about, still talking basketball. And our a new friend, the Legend 350, he has got a new channel. He is moving on from the Legend 350. He is now on YouTube with I Got Next Sports Media. That's at Sports Legend 2018 on YouTube. I Got Next Sports Media. I'm going to try and get him back on the show to talk some NBA later on this week as well. So definitely looking forward to hearing what he has to say. All these great places, please support. But you know, the biggest amount of support is needed by us. You want us on more often during the slow part of the year. Go ahead. I heard you in the comments. I read all your comments. You have different suggestions out there. Some are really good. Some are taking notes. Some are definitely interesting. And in order to go ahead and do so, the first thing we got to do is have that support out there from you out there. So if you want us more on the air during the slow periods of the year, please let us know. Support. Get people to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. And if you do so, you'll see more of us here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, during the time we were away, George Karl, who just can't seem to get a quote that's going to be respectful of the Lakers or his fans out there, decided to go ahead and say some more words again out there recently as he talked about how disgusted he was that the Lakers have the most national TV games in this upcoming season at 39. And he said, paraphrasing, that the Lakers would have less wins than national TV appearances. Now, to some out there, with the way that Rob Pelinka has reshaped, or lack thereof, the actual team, that could be a very good possibility of that happening. And with others, obviously, there's going to be some power positivity out there on what the Lakers can do. Lakers coming off with LeBron and AD coming off a stellar performance in Paris can translate that into a positive season going forward. So which is it? Is George Karl right or is he wrong? We will discuss that on today's show. And here today to go ahead and discuss just that. He is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind SimBlades, SimBladesWorldwide.com. He is working really hard at SimBlades. He's got a lot on his plate, but I do appreciate him stopping by because I know that it's just a big deal. It's a big deal for him to step in and talk about the Lakers because he is so busy. It is, of course, Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Joe Sorrell. Joe, good to be back with you in the chair, my friend. Know that we were away a little bit over the course of the weekend, but we're back. Darren thinks that George Karl has smoked too much dope. Vegas doesn't have them much higher at 44.5 wins. So which is it? Is George Karl right? Or is George Karl wrong about the Lakers this upcoming season?
Well, one of the few times, the broken clock is right twice a day. George Karl has kind of become the Roseanne Barr of the NBA twits, where they just can't help themselves. The only thing they got, I guess, in their lives is just to tweet all day about their feelings and, what their obnoxious thoughts are, basically. I had never been on his X, so I just got on it, and I had the unpleasurable experience while you were opening the show and having to listen, or at least listen on mute, Steve Kerr talk at the Democratic National Convention.
Oh, that okay.
And I'm not. I
knew you would say something about that.
Well, I mean, I'm minding my own business. I'm going on there to confirm the.
Yes, what he's doing. He's doing what he's doing. Let him do what he needs to do. I'm not worried about that. I told you, no politics on this.
We're talking sports here, yet it's coming at us. So
that's his own time, his own thing. Let him.
As a commentator, it's my job to interpret what is coming at me that involves sports, and it just. What do you do with two clowns all at once? I mean, George Karl and Steve Kerr are clowns. And I don't really like the circus. I didn't even like it when I was a kid. So we're here talking about what could be facts in the end. And although I don't think the Lakers are going to win 39 games or 38 games.
No, we don't need thoughts on that Sunday. I don't want thoughts on that. I don't want to hear anything politically related. So I don't want to hear thoughts on that. It's a basketball show. Go to a TED Talk. I don't care about if Steve Kerr is at the Democratic National Convention, unless he is talking about himself announcing there that he is retiring from the Golden State Warriors.
Well, he did retire from the Olympic or the international coaching side.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't care.
It matters.
I honestly don't care. It's not important. We're talking about George Karl and talking about the Lakers having a season that's better than what George Karl, we're hoping anyways.
I don't think the Lakers are going to win 38 games. They have 39 nationally televised games.
Yeah. So you think they're actually going to win less?
No, I didn't say that. Did you not hear what I just said?
Okay, then what did you say?
You're so hyped up with this Steve Kerr thing. You didn't let me finish.
I'm letting you finish now.
I'm minding my business, folks. I didn't get on George Karl's Twitter and expect to see what I saw. I'm trying to tell you what I saw. So what is – I don't believe the Lakers are going to win 38 games unless both AD and LeBron are hurt half the year. Then, yeah. But –
well, all bets are off if that's the case.
Yes, that's obvious. But I don't see them winning much more after that based off of the talent.
I think it's closer to the 44.5 that Vegas has. Or is that too much?
No, I could see them winning 44. You're talking about
if they play 70 games each.
The league has mediocrized. I know that's a word that doesn't exist, but I created it. The league has done this on purpose so that everyone can be happy. And we are where we are with that. I'm trying to gauge the JJ Redick thing because I'm starting to hear things coming out of camp that JJ Redick has these ideas about how he's going to play Austin Reeves, and Max Christie and these guys. And my question to JJ Redick is, how are you going to make these guys, I don't know, make shots when they're open? How are you going to put them in a position where they can score easier when they're athletically not gifted in a league where you have athletic freaks? And when I say freaks, that's a compliment. I don't think people really understand what kind of athletes National Basketball Association players are. These guys are 6'7", 6'8" on the average, lean like Dobermans, and can jump out the building. How are you going to compete with that if you don't have those skills? Well, you would have to have this, right? You have to go Chris Paul on them. You're a step ahead mentally, and you're able to get the spots. That's how you combat that. But if you don't have that, then what? And George Karl has become a troll essentially in his latter years because he doesn't really care. And it's funny, it's funny because you hear things from Kenyon Martin, right? Kenyon Martin is a pretty vocal guy, and he blames Karl for the loss in 2009 against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. He said if we had had better coaching, we would have won that series. And I don't know necessarily if that's true. I actually think that's probably not true because Kobe went God mode in that series. They should have lost had he not. They would have lost had he not. But that's what the great ones do. The great ones win those series. They hit threes with a minute left and take a 1-point lead when you need it. And that's what ended up, finishing off that series, really. The Lakers, in terms of their, I guess the word I'm looking for is their focus. What is their focus? What is truly their focus? Do they have a focus? Are they focused on winning championships? Are they focused on wishful thinking? Are they hoping that the leadership at the head coaching position is going to be that big to where this makes a difference? And bringing in George Karl into the discussion, I do remember after Brian Shaw, or was it Michael Cooper who got fired back in the late 2000s? I forgot. I have to look back on it. Was it Brian Shaw or was it?
I think it was Brian Shaw.
Was it Brian Shaw? Yeah, we talked about this on the last show. When he took over, there was a drastic difference in execution and basketball. And Kenyon Martin might have a personal vendetta against George Karl. George Karl has a Jim Harbaugh-like personality in that he can't be in one place too long. He gets people riled up, right?
Yeah.
And when you have someone who was coaching as long as he did make that difference, it makes sense. How are you expecting that kind of result from someone who hasn't coached, who hasn't even been an assistant in the NBA, who hasn't even run a team in the NBA? These are questions you need to ask yourself. And it's a question that we're going to keep asking until training camp starts and then eventually the season. It's important to ask those questions. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know why you would think positive in something like this. Is JJ Redick going to rewrite the coaching book for the modern NBA? When has a coach ever really done that? Maybe Red Auerbach? Who else? But Red Auerbach had Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have Bill Russell, he's getting swept when he was in Washington.
That's a good point.
For those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, he used to coach the Washington, I believe they were the Capitals at that time, Bullets, and the Minneapolis Lakers swept him in the finals. A lot of people don't know that, or don't remember it anyways. George Karl is something to talk about now because it is the dead time of the season, and it's easy. It would have been easy to come on here and go, George Karl. But folks, just so you guys know that we We stand by what we say. Let's dissect what he said. It's more likely that they have more nationally televised games than wins. Is he really wrong to think that?
I mean,
My first
they
instinct
are
was
one
no.
AD injury or LeBron injury away from that happening.
Correct. Last year, there were no debilitating injuries. Most, if not all, the games missed by LeBron James and AD were maintenance or precautionary misses. They weren't any major injuries. And you also had the Lakers shooting as well as they've ever shot in a full season. So is JJ Redick going to devise some kind of philosophy or execution to where they can win games that matter? Will he convince these players that they have to play every game like it's their last? Do they even do that in the NBA anymore? Or is it just simply listen to LeBron James?
Yeah. Again,
LeBron James. Here's how good LeBron James is. LeBron James is so good. He won 4 championships from his talent alone. Would you agree with that? You're on mute, G.
I know. I'll be with you in just a sec. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. The question I have for you and everyone else, do you believe that LeBron James won 4 championships due to his talent alone?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. I mean, it's so funny, Joe, because you see there's so many people, so many haters for LeBron James out there that just speak so unrealistic about him. And all I could tell you, you could say that maybe his championships, some of it was just based sheerly off of his talent. Maybe his later ones, the Miami ones, that was more of a team that was built to win a championship. And some people say they should have won more, but didn't. And that in itself is a disappointment. But when you have Bosch, Wade alongside of you, you should be winning championships. So the one in Cleveland, I think that was more talent based than any of. Do you agree or?
Yes, I would agree. I believe the 2016 season was purely a prime times 3 player winning a championship. Kyrie Irving had some say in there, as well as Love, but that was a dominant run by LeBron James.
Yeah.
When you look at 2012 and 2013, when he won in Miami, there were times where he had to step up and win those important games when he was down 3-2 against Boston. And then when he was down 1-0 in the finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you lose the first game in the finals, usually that spells that you're not likely going to win. It's just that the statistics say 70% of the time the team that wins game 1 wins this championship. That's a pretty big statistic.
Sunday saying 2018 was not prime LeBron.
I would say it was. The problem with 17 and 18 was Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. I feel very confident that had Durant not gone to Golden State, we could have seen LeBron three-peat in Cleveland.
I'd still think, again, I know you argue with me. I'm not going to argue with you on it. I'm just saying Durant played his best basketball during that era, I think.
Yes, because the pressure wasn't on him to win. So,
but he did play.
You got to look at the how potent that team was. I want you to think about this. Imagine this. Imagine if I came to you and I said, Gerald, I'm going to put the 3, arguably, but in my book,
3 of the best shooters of all time,
the 3 greatest shooters ever in their primes on the same team in an era where shooting is paramount and primary. You could argue, if you came to me and said, I have Steph Curry 1, that's probably obvious to anybody now. No one's really going to argue that. At least I wouldn't. Number 2, Klay Thompson. You have an argument that he's the second greatest shooter I've ever seen. And then on number 3, Kevin Durant. And you can flip Kevin Durant and Klay. Although I do think Klay's a better.
The height of Klay, baby.
The height of Klay is higher than Durant. The thing with Durant is he can score. He's a better scorer than Klay. So you put that, and on top of that, you had a 4th guy who could shoot from distance and was your defensive player of the year. I mean, you had a perfect team for this era for 2 years, and very likely would have won in 2019 had Durant not gotten hurt. I would even say that if had Durant not gotten hurt, even with Klay getting hurt, they beat Toronto. So there's a lot of ways to analyze this, and we also have to understand we are in the era of social media at its peak. And I don't know necessarily if it'll ever go away, because social media is just not going to ever go away. You have more gutter trash and more sewer rats with a forum to speak than there ever has been in the history of civilization. And when you have that, you're going to have more haters. You're going to have more negativity, because people thrive on negativity. People's lives, the majority of people out there, are miserable, pathetic sludge. They live that life. They're about that life because that's their only excitement. And in sports, it's a little easier because the jealousy factor comes in. They resent that LeBron is someone who makes a lot of money and is successful, because people are usually, who are complaining, are not successful and are broke. I'm not trying to defend LeBron on everything, though. LeBron has had a habit of saying stupid things and to irritate me. And a lot of it derives around the Lakers. I never cared what he said when he was in Cleveland or Miami. I couldn't care less about what was going on there. I didn't care about the decision. I don't know. Still to this day, I have no idea why everybody got butthurt about that. Oh, he disrespected the Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, he did. I go, it's just like Mahomes last year. I keep bringing this up. Mahomes gets mad one time in the 7 years he was playing in the NFL, and he was wrong, but he got mad, and everyone, the vitriol that came up, they were criticizing him. They were criticizing his wife. Had nothing to do with, like, why are you criticizing? Like, what does she have to do with him making a mistake and getting angry? Like, the one time he got mad and got out of his comfort zone, oh, he was the worst guy that ever lived. That people are just waiting for you to fail. And the easiest way to combat that is to tell the crowd to eat shit. It feels good, and you'll never be bothered by it. Because once the crowd knows you're never going to be affected by it, it's over. Don't worry about what people you will never meet think about you. Heck, I've gone into stores in New York, in Florida, doing funny things in front of my wife. And she's like, stop doing it. You're embarrassing. I'm like, are you ever going to see these people in your life? They're not going to remember any of this. Much like George Karl right now, no one really is remembering George Karl. And George Karl is starting to tweet so he can be remembered. Do you ever see me tweet, guys? I mean, some can sit there and say that I'm negative, but am I really negative?
You're more of an Instagram guy.
Well, I'm an Instagram guy in the sense of talking in direct messages with my friends, but that's just tailing from Facebook. And before then, there was AOL Messenger. And then before then, it was email, right?
I did see your latest ad, by the way, on Instagram.
Thank you. Yes. There is
very serious Joe.
Well, it's important to educate the crowd. There's an education that's missing in that industry that needs to start ramping up here, and I'm starting to do that.
No, it's actually really good. It's really effective. It's just if you know Joe for years, and then you hear this serious side of Jones when he's pitching on Instagram. Simblades, by the way, please go ahead and follow him there. But yeah, it's funny. It's just kind of it's strikingly different than the Joe we all know and universally love on a daily basis.
Sports brings out a little different attitude for me,
apparently,
because I like to think that it's still talent based. It's the last forum for talent based work, although that's being tested now with what we've seen in the draft recently with the Lakers and just the overall overhype stuff that's going on in sports. Everything is being Joe Rogan, basically. Everything is the best thing that you've ever seen. And then you look at the numbers and I'm going, you're losing money. So how is this the greatest thing ever if you're losing money?
So when it comes down to it, again, George Karl, he did make the statements that the Lakers would not win as many games as they're on national TV. By the way, the count currently is 39. I'm assuming the NBA does have the right to change that at some point in time if the Lakers season goes awry. But the Lakers, I think, are closer to me on the 44.5. But again, that's all dependent on the Lakers having the health of LeBron and AD. If you get 70 games from each, I think it's a very good possibility that they reach what Vegas expects them to reach and not what George Karl expects them to reach. But I really thought about this the other day, and when I was driving, Joe, and sometimes these times off for us really gives us, times of clarity. You look at the roster, Joe, how many players are actual two-way players that are effective continuously on both ends?
For the Lakers?
For the Lakers.
Only one.
Only one. And LeBron only when he wants to be, but as for closing in on 40, that's going to get less and less.
Well, LeBron does have a little bit of a leeway there because of his age and the amount of miles he's put on his body. I don't really hold that against him. I don't like him leaving his team on 4-on-5 breaks, though. That he can control. That he would need to stop. But I want to see if JJ Redick can make him stop that, because I know damn well if I was the head coach, the first thing I tell LeBron is you need to stop crying after a call you don't get. At least not every time. Once in a great while, fine. But this needs to stop. And stop leaving your teammates behind ever. Get back on defense and complain after the play is done.
We think he's limited to it. It only when he feels
limited is not the two-way player. Yeah. Anything that limits you from playing both sides of the court doesn't make you a two-way anymore. The only two-way player is Anthony Davis. Now, if the Lakers had at least one guy that could go both defense and offense, that would make a world of difference. But they just don't have that. They don't have that guy,
and that's the problem. That's why I can't be much more confident about the Lakers surpassing what Vegas has at 44.5 games. And if people want a 50-win season, a season where the Lakers are in contention for the Western Conference Championship, they have to have players that are effective on both ends of the basketball court. And I'm not sure JJ can really get that out of any one of them. I mean, we did see closing at the end of the season, Austin Reeves give much more expended effort on the defensive end, but it did hamper his shot. He never really got to the point where he became a really lights out shooter when we needed him to be. He finished, I think, right around 36% is what I remember him being around. So I don't know, Joe. I just don't know if we have any players that are going to help this team get to where it needs to be in its current state. Even Dalton Connect, who you and I are pretty high on, and I know that we've gone back and forth with Rudell on, we see flaws in his defense, so we're not sure how long he's going to be out there if he keeps getting burnt and toasted on one end, and Max Christie has just not been effective on either end. But they proceed to give him $8 million for 4 years, or $32 million for 4 years, and obviously we're stuck with him. So I don't know, Joe. I just don't see players on the Lakers team that are going to help push the Lakers to where everybody wants them that are watching the show wants to be.
Well, I'm going to finish off the George Karl thing real quick, and then I'll answer your question. Mm-hmm. George Karl said we need to see more of Orlando, that's probably the dumbest part of that quote. No one cares about watching Orlando. Sorry, Pablo. I don't even think people in Orlando know who he is, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just he's not that guy. So I don't know what he's thinking there, but no one wants to watch Orlando play, George. So just I'll leave it at that.
And it's going to take time for people, the general consumer, to start to get to know Victor Wembanyama and some of the other players, Anthony Edwards, and some of the younger players that are going to be big stars.
I think Victor is transcendent. I don't believe Anthony
He
Edwards
will be. He will. I
believe he already is.
Well, okay, but I'm saying is for the general audience to get to know him in that light. You and I already know he is that player. It's going to take some time for people, the general audience, to get to know who he is as well.
Right. The Lakers, as far as their record this year, there's a pretty clear sign that the Lakers think that they're going to just magically do what they did last year and just add 5 more wins because of JJ Redick. I feel very comfortable in saying that's what they think is going to happen. And one thing that I want everyone to realize, you have to pay attention to the little details sometimes. And I know it's hard for most people to do that. And that's why people watch the show, for us to do that. That's the point. And folks, the reason why it's very difficult to do a show like this and get big is because those details take time to get. You have to focus and sit down and actually. I know it looks like we're winging it here, but I don't wing it. I have 6 windows open every time we start a show. I've done prep. You cannot do a show and sound like
I beat you by 1 window.
Professional and not be prepared. I mean, I could do it unprepared, but how much knowledge and how much information can I really be credible in when I'm talking about it? I'm not Will Hunting from the movie. I'm not going to remember things just as hearing it throughout the day. That's not, unfortunately, I wish I could, but I can't. There are things that I do remember, though, but that's 33 years of watching NBA basketball, and I've picked up a lot of stuff, and it happens to stick in my head. But look at the statistics here, because we haven't really discussed the meat of last year's performances. If you take away the Lakers' home record, which wasn't bad, they were 28-14. This is their record versus the division, 7-10. This is their record versus their conference, 27-25. Now on the road, they were 19-21, which a team that's not that good, it's actually not too bad. But look at where they lose.
Well, but they had to remember a lot of that came late in the season when they had to go on that run.
Which is what happens is this is the part where you start seeing a pattern. They can't even out the year. They have to hit it hard at the end of the year to make something. Then when they make it there, they run out of gas. They ran out of gas in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. They ran out of gas in the first round. Well, Joe, they played Denver, and Denver has their number. It doesn't matter who they play, folks. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are on this team. We don't have time for people to get tired. You're talking about 2 all-time greats, and you're supposed to be competing for championships. If you're not going to compete for championships, then you need to let this go and start over. There is no other way. The NBA is structured where you either stink or you're winning championships, or at least competing for them.
Rui is not a 2-way player, Darren. Come on. He cannot guard wings. He cannot guard threes.
Rui is a half and half player. Half offense, half defense. He's never going to be a full 1-1.
He can't guard wings. Now, if he's your backup 4, you've got a pretty good team. But if he's your starting 3, as he has been on the Lakers, Joe, that's tough depending on the matchup.
Darren, I saw Rui miss point-blank shots in that playoff game over and over and over again. He got the ball. He couldn't put the ball in the hoop. And those games would have been different if he did. And that's a fact. The Lakers think that JJ Redick will bring in some kind of special potion that'll make players play better. He'll put them in better positions to succeed. Well, I hope he does, because if he doesn't, it's going to be worse than it was last year.
As I always say, Joe, this team would be so much better if Reeves and Rui, we had enough talent. If we had enough talent that Reeves and Rui could be your 6th and 7th guy coming off the bench.
Well, I think that's an obvious assessment. Yeah. But where are you going to get 2 starters? You have to drop $30, $40 million now on players.
And so much of it's tied up already with bad management.
Now, the Boston Celtics have managed to do that, and now they're selling the team because they know what's coming. And they're going to sell the team at its highest profitability. And word is that Jeff Bezos is interested, which is probably just...
Along with Bill Simmons.
Who?
Bill Simmons, I thought, was mentioned along with it.
How the hell is Bill Simmons going to buy the Celtics?
That's what I heard.
With what? Hopes and dreams?
Oh, he believes there's legitimate buzz. I'm sorry. But he might try to weasel his way into it. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Weasel his way to what?
To, putting some money into it.
Putting some money? What? How much?
He's got some money. The dude's got that Ringer contract with Spotify. He's not destitute by any such. But if Jeff Bezos,
destitution doesn't have anything to do with it. You have any idea how much this team is going to sell for?
Well, right now we just got our first team that was valued over $10 billion, and that was the Cowboys.
So Bill Simmons is worth $100 million. His net worth is $100 million. If this was 1954, yeah, he'd be fine. But this is
no. I didn't say he would be the man. I said he would put some.
If
money
you don't own a majority of the team and make the calls, you're not an owner to me.
Okay, well, whatever.
All these guys, Magic owns the Dodgers. No, he doesn't. The Guggenheims own the Dodgers.
It would be Bezos. Yes, I get
it. Does Bezos want to waste his time running a sports franchise?
Alex Rodriguez, you wouldn't consider him an owner?
No. No, you're not a majority owner. You're a face, which I'm still trying to figure out why Minnesota would want A-Rod to be their face. How does he relate to anyone?
Well, now they don't. That's why they're going to court over it. So,
yeah, this is stupid. A-Rod is one of the. A-Rod is. I don't know why he broke up with J-Lo. They're 2 fakest people in celebrity. You can't get more fake than A-Rod. A-Rod's such a poser. It hurts sometimes listening to him talk. I have to change the channel.
So I ask you, if that's the case and the Lakers are in the pickle that they're in, mediocrity staring them in the face. Again, if they do get a healthy LeBron and AD for 70 games, I see them winning more games than just 39. But I don't see them getting to where everybody on the show wants them to be. And if that's the case, will there be any fallout from it? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if there's any point in time that Jeannie will get frustrated with Rob Pelinka. I don't know. Because I think the blame, the finger pointing, it's got to start at some point in time. And the fact that you have managed to just whistle away years of LeBron and AD after they won their championship. It's just been disappointing. Yes, we did go to a Western Conference Finals, but essentially we still have that same team, and it's gone down, and it's gone down, and it's gone even worse, Joe. I don't see it getting much better at this point in time.
Well, she's part of the cancer.
She's not going to sell.
Then we're going to have to deal with a Donald Sterling, not in the racial side of things, but just the ineptitude of it. I told you stories, random stories on the last show about how the inner workings of that organization are just trash. They run the team like classless clowns. It's a bad circus. And Jeannie needs to be called out for it every day until she has to sell. Because she would. She's weak. She's weak-minded. She goes against every ethical type business environment that you can think of. She sleeps with her colleagues with school. I don't. What is it that you want to tell me about Jeannie Buss that's going to be positive? What? Her cards are on the table. We already know what she has. We already know what she is. But we didn't care back then because she wasn't really a decision maker at that point. And it should have been something that should have been called out more. It's unprofessional. I've been in working environments where there were a lot of chances to do things, but I never did it, no matter how much my, left side or right side of my brain were battling. You open up Pandora's box when you let work and personal stuff come in the way. And she's made a career out of doing that, and now it's coming to a head because she is in charge. And before that was Jim Buss, who won the genetic lottery. Other than that, he's useless. What does he do? What does he do? If it wasn't for his dad, he'd probably be a bartender somewhere. Not to criticize bartenders, but the point is, he was born to a man who was a genius, who was one of the best businessmen in sports, and in my book, the greatest sports owner in North America ever. 10 championships during his reign, 16 finals appearances. Captained 2 dynasties, almost a third. Beat the Celtics 3 times in his time too. That is it's hard to surpass that. But my gripe with Jeannie is the culture she's created in the Lakers. The Lakers used to be a ironclad, class run organization.
Last thing I want to mention before we head on out, my friend, or at least I want to cover before we head on out.
Exactly $7,000. There's a reason, there's a reason why he didn't just give it to Jeannie. He knew. He was hoping Jim would. See, the thing with Jim that I will give him credit for is he might have done stuff behind the scenes, but I never saw him publicly do things. I never saw him tweet and be a douchebag publicly. Maybe he was a douchebag behind the scenes, but I never saw it publicly. But,
just didn't have a clue. Just absolutely.
And that was the problem. I think what maybe the resentment, and this is speculation. This is not what happened. I'm not saying this happened. I wish, like in the movie Gladiator, I wish that Dr. Buss had gone kind of like Jerry West was Maximus. He should have bequeathed the team to Jerry West instead of his children. That would have been a better thing. And maybe Jerry West thought in the end that should have been the way to go. I know he gave a piece of the team to Magic, and that's fine. But Jerry West should have stayed in LA. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I might be talking out of line. Maybe Jerry West was so draining for everybody. Maybe they're just like, look, we're tired of this. That probably might have been the problem.
That situation between him and then Phil Jackson and Jeannie, that's that's a drama that I don't want to see played out again. It was detrimental to the team, and it just obviously we lost a great person and a great mind in Jerry West because of it.
Well, and when Phil Jackson retired in 2011, you should have brought him back then. Then it was done. I understand having to separate from Phil. The thing with Phil is he brought results, and it was his time. And it unfortunately it was what it was. But bring him back when Phil was gone. Phil Jackson, look, when you're right, it's hard to argue, even if it's obnoxious. Phil helped bring 5 championships to LA in 11 years. You had to bite the bullet on that one. But once he was gone, Jerry West should have been invited back, and he should have been given the reins to run the team. That man built your franchise. He was the foundation. No disrespect to George Mikan, but definitely in LA, he was the foundation. George Mikan doesn't get enough credit for helping build the NBA. I think they keep thinking Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor and Bob Cousy. Folks, George Mikan is the first pieces of wood that get built in a home. And then you can definitely say that Bill Russell, Wilt, Cousy, Jerry West were the concrete. But George Mikan was the wood that was put down first. And Jerry West just did not. There are exceptions, folks. I know they probably got tired of it, but there are exceptions, and Jerry West was that exception. Someone who cared that much, I think they should have been given the benefit of the doubt. And the results are here, Gerald. They're there. They're here. Look at the things I've been telling you. Look at the things that we've seen with this team. A snake oil salesman and an inept owner who have no business running an NBA franchise, let alone the LA Lakers, who are letting a player dictate their business decisions that include talentless players. That's where I draw the line. Nepotism has nothing to do with the discussion. Nepotism doesn't work. It's not supposed to work when it comes to talent. You want to hire your brother, your sister, that's fine. I don't care about that. I'm talking about talent in a team that's lacking talent. That's your focus. You've put your focus on talentless people. And look where you are.
Before we head on out, I did want to go ahead and touch on one thing that I know is not going to make you happy, but another recent story in the past days about the Lakers centers on LeBron and the possibility. Oh, yeah, after coming off the Olympics, LeBron and Curry played so well. What about that almost trade that didn't happen between the Lakers and the Warriors? Well, the latest rumors, if you go ahead and believe it, you could take it for what it's worth, is that supposedly Rich Paul, the agent for LeBron, owner of Clutch, Adele's boyfriend, whatever you want to say, Adele's husband, I don't know. I think they're engaged, whatever. But I did want to say that the rumors said that Rich Paul didn't want and didn't authorize a trade or didn't want a trade to happen for LeBron to head up to Golden State. And I'm thinking to myself, I know that we always criticize LeBron as far as the passive aggressiveness and things that he says on social media, et cetera, et cetera. But if LeBron wants to go and do what LeBron wants to do, whether he wants to play another year, 2 years, that's up to LeBron. Whether he wants to go and play for another team, that's up to LeBron. Joe, Rich may have been saying whatever he wanted to LeBron, but ultimately the decision to go was in LeBron's hands, and he decided, in my own mind, he decided that he did not want to go to Golden State. Although the rumors this past weekend
I
are
don't
saying
see the
otherwise.
benefit of him going to Golden State. What's that going to do?
I'm
further increase the narrative that he cannot win without major stars, that he wants to play with his buddies instead of being competitive. And I look at Miami. I don't look at Miami in that way. I looked at the Miami defection as, you're in Cleveland. No one wants to come to Cleveland. What do? Do you want to be Kevin Garnett, or do you want to go and guarantee you're going to be winning championships? This is not going to be a popular assessment. Dwayne Wade was good for about 6 years. Beyond that, he was very good. He wasn't good for 10, 12 years like a Kobe or LeBron, Shaq, Duncan.
Was he a Hall of Famer in your mind?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because it kind of seemed like he was, like you were leaning in that direction.
No. But he was never, I was never afraid of Dwayne Wade when he played.
Okay.
I just never was afraid of Dwayne Wade. He was extremely talented, but I believe he's like Derrick Rose, but a longer prime. He was a Derrick Rose impact, but a longer prime than Derrick Rose. But I was never afraid of Dwayne Wade. I never oh, shoot, Dwayne Wade. Eesh. And this is something that needs to be discussed more. We call too many guys great. I have a higher assessment on players. Hall of Fame. If you have to ask the question, someone's a Hall of Famer. They're not Hall of Famers. To me, great is Tim Duncan. Great is Kobe, Shaq, Kevin Garnett. Do you consider Paul Pierce great? Ray Allen great? Just amazingly good, but great is different. Great is MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, pillar. And there's not a lot of those guys in my book.
Reggae, I'm personally a big fan of Rodman. I will say, obviously, he can score to save his life, or be an offensive player to save his life. But from a rebounding and from a passing standpoint, I don't think that there were many better. Rebounding and from passing from the post, I don't think there was many better than him if you actually watched his game. And I'll leave it at that.
Good questions, guys. Dennis Rodman, Dirk Nowitzki, Patrick Ewing. So Dennis Rodman was great on one side of the
and
ball.
Defensively, of course, as well. Yes,
he was great on defense, probably one of the greatest of all time. But he was a horrid offensive player. Therefore, he can't be great because he was so bad on one side. Patrick Ewing, that's a tough one. You could say Patrick Ewing from, let's say, 1988 to 1994.
One of the greatest college players of all time?
I think his results say yes.
Okay.
Considering how things developed in basketball in the 80s, yeah, it wasn't just UCLA.
Before his knees gave out.
Patrick Ewing was, I wouldn't argue that he was great he was great for a 6-year period.
Okay.
He was damn good. But there's a different level that I'm talking about. I'm talking Jordan, talking Hakeem. So let's talk about the 90s since we're kind of talking about Patrick Ewing. Who in the 90s would you say were great?
See, when you say Dennis Rodman isn't great, I
He's
inclined
great
to
on
disagree.
defense, but he was
Defense, rebounding,
yes.
certain aspects of that a lot of his peers weren't. I mean, the guy was averaging, or getting 20, 25 rebounds on a regular basis like it was nothing. The fact that he could defend at guys 5-6 inches taller than he was, weighing 50 to 70 pounds more than he was with ease speaks for itself. So, okay, if you don't want to say he's great, that's fine. I understand because he was that inept on the offensive
Okay,
side.
let's talk. Forget about great. Let's say Patrick Ewing and Rodman, they're great players.
What period of the 90s are you talking about?
I'm talking about icons. Let's talk icons. How about, is that easier?
Well, what period of the
players.
90s are you talking about?
Huh?
What period of the 90s are you talking about?
I mean, you can talk about the entire 90s. So let's talk the 90s.
Well, you talk
first is Jordan. You have Hakeem. You have David Robinson. You have Karl Malone.
Where would you
John
put
Stockton?
Shaq? Orlando Shaq.
Shaq. I mean, Shaq. The issues with Shaq were playoffs. Mm-hmm. From 1994. Shaq, before his first championship, so let's say 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. So I want you guys to pay attention here real quick. For all of the Shaq won everything.
Include Stockton and MX?
Yes, Stockton has to be great. He's leading in two of the big four categories of all time. And I'm sorry, 5 categories in steals and in assists. And his longevity and he was great. There's no doubt John Stockton was great. But let's talk about Shaq. Something I wanted to talk about before, but I'll bring it up now that we're kind of talking about it. So from Shaq came into the NBA 92, 93. 93 didn't make the playoffs, but he was a huge difference. I think Orlando went 41 and 41 that year. The following year went to the playoffs and then never stopped. So 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, and then 99. 6 years. His first 6 years in the playoffs. You know how many times Shaq was swept out of the playoffs in those 6 years? This is Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant player.
Was it 3 or 4?
5. 94, 95, 96, 98, 99. And in 97, when he lost 4-1 to Utah. It's not a good look. It's the little things. You cannot be the most dominant player, especially that late into your career. You're not talking about a guy he got swept his first time.
What about Drexler? I think that's a little bit harder question.
No, I don't consider him great. I consider him awesomely good. Him, Patrick Ewing, those guys are awesomely good. I don't want to just say very good. Awesomely good.
You don't think he ever approached that next level?
Chris Mullin, awesomely good. Those guys are awesomely good. Absolutely.
Okay.
But folks, you look at certain things. So I'm gonna throw in a few other things for you guys. So you can, again, this is all prep, guys. I have my information here. This isn't something
You guys are throwing out some interesting names, like
it's great. It's great. Now I want you guys to pay attention to this. So the next time some asshole, sorry I had to say it the way I said it because it's important.
Okay.
The next time some asshole comes to you and degrades Kobe Bryant's accomplishments, I want you to focus on this. In the 2000s, Kobe beat more 50-plus win teams, actually more than anyone ever. That's with Shaq and without Shaq. He beat the most top 10 defenses ever in that time. He beat 4 50-win teams in a single playoff run twice. And the other 2 championships he won, it was 49 and 48 when they played the team in the first round. It was Utah, 48 wins, and Portland at 49. And this was the most competitive Western Conference in the history of its league in the 2000s. Competition matters. And folks don't pay attention to the details. This isn't, oh, Kobe's the only player that scored 33 points on a Tuesday and had a fro and shot left-handed. Like that's a baseball statistic. But when you look at the 2000s and the competitiveness, how competitive it was, he beat Tim Duncan and those Spurs teams 4 out of 5 times in that decade to boot. With Shaq, without Shaq, going through a rebuild, not going through a rebuild, winning scoring titles, not winning scoring. Kobe had one of the more interesting, abnormal careers, especially within that decade of the 2000 to 2009. I'm not even counting 2010. I'm talking just 2009 through 2000. It is competition matters. Imagine if Kobe had been in the Eastern Conference. I truly believe if Kobe had been in the Eastern Conference in that decade, he would have gone to 10 straight finals.
Wow.
You could say maybe the 05 team, maybe no, because he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I fully think about it. LeBron went to the finals in 07, right? Lakers got waxed by Phoenix in the first round, 4-1. Kobe takes that team to the finals. 07 was the worst out of the bunch in 2000. And I'm not trying to downgrade LeBron, folks. He had an unbelievable series against Detroit. He deserves all the praise, but the competition just wasn't there, folks. They got destroyed by the Spurs when they got to the finals, and everyone knew. That's the worst finals team I've ever seen, is the 2007 Cavaliers, which should give LeBron credit for that. The fact that he took a team that had no business even making a playoff run in the West, making it to the finals in the East. So I believe without a doubt that if Kobe was in the East, he would have gone to the finals in all but probably the 05 year.
Okay.
Because don't forget, the 08 Celtics team, they got taken to 7 against Atlanta in the first round. They got taken to 7 against LeBron in the second round, and then 6 games against Detroit that year. Something weird happened in that game 4. Game 4 killed the Lakers. If the Lakers don't lose game 4, I believe they win that series in 6. Kobe seals it in Boston in 6. I can honestly feel confident in saying that. They don't lose game 4. They tie the series up. Lakers win game 5. I've no doubt they win game 5. And then Boston is scared to shit in game 6, and Kobe closes it out in Boston.
Eric, are you talking about this year's Lakers? Because he's asking if would the Lakers beat the 57 win team in 2011?
What?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
This year's team?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking him to clarify. Would the Lakers?
It would be if that's the case, the answer is no. But I would argue that maybe the 2020 team has a chance of beating the 2011 team, because you have to understand there was inner turmoil that was going on with the Lakers that year. They were burnt out. There was alleged personal things going on with certain players, women, and Kobe's knee was bone to bone. Dude, they got worked by New Orleans that year.
Yeah.
And Aaron Gray. Chris Paul looked like Magic Johnson in that playoff. He looked like an unstoppable force. Made Aaron Gray look like Shaquille O'Neal in that series. It was unreal what was going on in that series.
Again, this team this year is going to have a hard time trying to stay competitive. Again, I don't think it'll be as bad as what George Karl predicts for the Lakers, under 39 wins, but I don't see them getting much more in their current configuration than the 44.5 wins Vegas has them for. And that would put them squarely in a 8, 9, 10 position in the Western Conference. And that's not where you want to be, Joe. That's right there in the mediocrity zone that absolutely nobody wants to. You're not good enough to be a player in the league, but you're not bad enough to be able to tank. And the Lakers can't even tank because they don't even have their draft choice anymore for next year either. So
the Lakers don't play well against the best competition. They were 27-25 last year in conference. So how are you going to feel confident without a talent upgrade of any significance? I'm not going to put the pressure on Connect as a rookie to be that guy. I'm sorry, I'm not. It's not realistic to think that way. But when the competition is strong, the Lakers are about as mediocre as you can get. 27-25. Folks, that's 52 games. That's the majority of your games. And they are just one game above 500, really. They're one loss away from being 26-26. Doesn't matter what they do against the Bulls in the East or Orlando or Charlotte in the West. I'm sorry, in the East. Yeah, you win those games, sure, but their record in conference proves why they have been mediocre and why they lose to the top teams.
And that's got to be the issue, unless the Lakers do something to dramatically shake up the roster. And
Pelinka set the stage, folks. A loser's commentary. He's introducing J.J. Redick, and the first thing that comes out of his pie hole is the system has gotten harder, so it's not going to be easy to do things. That was his opening line to introduce his coach, his new coach. How does that not tell you something about that guy and how inept and useless he is? And I'm just in complete bewilderment on how Kobe was friends with this guy. I cannot figure it out.
And Eric's saying that 52 wins has to be their benchmark. I just don't know how you get there. Again, with the relatively same team that you rolled out there last season.
The greatest closer I ever watched, maybe next to Jordan. Buddies with the worst closer.
Again, it's just the fact you roll out the same team as you did last season, virtually, and you expect the league not to make any moves or get better. Teams get better. Memphis, Houston, those are teams that were below the Lakers, which have a definite chance of improving. San Antonio, we just talked about Victor Wembanyama and how good he can be already. So it's not, I mean, outside the Clippers are the only team on the surface to definitively look like they got worse this season. That's the only team I think that the Lakers I know definitively can be better on, provided LeBron and AD play a similar amount of games that they did last season. That's a big if, because they have consistently not been able to do it during their Lakers tenure. So, and that's just to get to 44, 45 wins. I don't know. 52, that's you're talking about that as a benchmark, Eric, and I think that's just
It's not a surprise. It's a barnyard run team. This team is the leadership is barnyard-esque.
Jeremy, I didn't say Golden State wasn't. I said Clippers are the only team that I think definitively got worse in this offseason. The Lakers,
are they going to fall into some philosophy that's going to let them win more? I'm going to wait and see, but it doesn't look good. I keep hearing stats about LeBron. And LeBron never says, I don't care about stats, because he does care about stats. That's what he can hold on to still. But statistics don't matter, folks. Not when you've played what will be his 22nd season. You tell me, would you rather have a player that's done more than what you have in 8 less seasons or 7 less seasons? I guess the answer could be both. Hey, I'd rather watch my favorite player play more, right? Sure. But folks, if it's just about watching your favorite player play, yeah, I'll buy into that. But you cannot talk about accomplishments when your accomplishments haven't touched someone else's accomplishments, and you're supposed to be the greatest ever. In the accomplishments that matter, folks. Winning is what matters in sports. And when you're going to be dubbed the greatest, you have to win. You can't not win, and you have to win a lot. The greatest players of any era, of any sport, are always judged by multiple wins, multiple championships. How many of the greatest players of all time in any sport, even Ali was a 3-time world heavyweight champion at a time where you never won 3 championships like that. Even Ali, in an era where you didn't win the title more than once, it's rare you won it more than once. You won it 3 times. How many championships did Babe Ruth win? 8? Folks, winning matters and championships matter. It's not fair, but it's the only way. LeBron, yeah, all-time scorer, yeah, stats up the yin-yang, a guy who's top whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you want to be the greatest of all time, LeBron came up short where it mattered in a lot of those categories. And a lot of it was because of him meddling. And these clowns that run the Lakers are the ultimate enablers.
And on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, a.k.a. Ox1947 at LakersBall.com, and Simblades with the Y.com. Yeah, Casey, I can't wait for the season to begin. It's still, though, 2 months away. 2 months away from the Lakers season. Hopefully they will prove us all wrong. And most importantly, hopefully they will prove George Karl wrong with a great season. But again, I can't see it. The more I try to look, the more you try to fine tune, the more problems and glaring needs and glaring omissions and the glaring mistakes that were made in constructing this roster and not doing much about it this off season. And again, we have been hard on the management ownership of this team, and I think it's deserved, Joe. And I want to be wrong. I really want to be wrong, but again, our years of experience have taught us that a team like this is not going to fare as well as we would like them to this upcoming season.
Correction, 7 World Series, not 8. Sorry.
Oh, he won 7 instead of 8? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I have a hard time cheering for this leadership, the ownership. But the Lakers organization have given us a lot of great things. So we'll hang on. We'll hang on because of that. And that's how I explain it. And to quit and go away completely, that's never going to happen. But what would have happened if it wasn't for the show is I would have not been as in it in every game situation, because that tends to take up a lot of time. You're talking about 2.5 hours plus 2 hours of a show. That's 4.5 hours a day. 4.5 hours a day, 4 days a week. That's a part-time job.
It is. And we're hoping that we get...
and it's not about not making money either. It's about, do I want to legitimize their ineptness? That's really what it comes from.
Yeah.
We're complaining here, yet we keep watching. Therefore, we're part of the problem.
7 Grand says, who's better, Joe, the Lakers owners or the A's owners?
Shoot.
Well, 7, that's not confirmed.
The problem with Oakland.
Well, let me just say this, 7. They have not gotten 100% of the financing, so now they're looking for private financing.
They'll get it.
The Tropicana is already destroyed, so
they'll get it. Vegas wants
them
there. They're coming there.
I drove by it yesterday. It's just a shell, so they got to put something there. So, yeah.
I believe that that Major League Baseball is the ultimate culprit in the Oakland A's demise. I don't think anybody valued their history. The city has become the urinal of the Bay Area. And the schmucks above them or on the side of them, wherever you want to say in San Francisco, are the large crap-filled toilet. And when you have bad leadership, not only in baseball, Manfred is not someone who should have ever been a commissioner in Major League Baseball. And then the clowns that run those cities, it's only fitting that you see what's happened in Oakland. They've lost the Golden State Warriors to San Francisco. They've lost the Raiders. They're going to lose the A's. And now Oakland's going to be Detroit in RoboCop soon. If those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, first RoboCop in 1987. Watch it. You will watch how movies are supposed to be made.
Not Verhoeven's best, but it is good. It's pretty good.
It's my favorite one of his, and I know he's done a lot.
I think Starship Troopers and Recall are...
Recall's great. Don't doubt. Starship Troopers is a cult classic, but there will never be.
Love Starship Troopers.
RoboCop was an absolute. RoboCop spoke in.
I'll buy that
way.
for $1.
Iconic as it gets in so many ways. Clarence Boddicker, his crew, the kill scene, just the rawness of the movie. Peter Weller just making you believe he was a machine. Jesus, that guy should have. I know those movies don't garner Oscar, but the guy acted his rear end off, and he made you think he was a machine, a cyborg.
Are you talking about the RoboCop rebooted RoboCop that did horribly? Yikin came out what?
The movie wasn't too bad. I've seen worse.
Well, yeah, I've seen worse.
But you can't touch. Even the second RoboCop was good. The third one was a disaster. I didn't even watch it. I can't. No, there's some guys that cannot be replaced. Okay, Arnold cannot be replaced as the Terminator. Although what's her name in the third one, I liked her. I forgot her name. They called her the Terminator. The Terminator.
Nancy Allen?
No,
No.
the third Terminator.
James Cameron's ex-wife, Linda Hamilton.
No. The Terminator.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton.
She wasn't a Terminator.
Oh, you're talking about the third. You're talking about the third.
The third Terminator. It gets a lot of flack.
When she gets a Terminator, it wasn't Terminator Genesis. It was Terminator.
No. This is the one in the
Rise of the Machines.
Still. Yes.
Okay. God, I'm sorry. I forget my bad Terminators. And Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, all that other stuff was crap.
Yeah. I'm sorry. After T2, it just.
Yeah, I agree, but I thought Christina Loken.
That was the last one.
That was the third one in what was it? 2003.
Xbox. Yeah, Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought she was good. I thought she was great.
Feeds Jingle All the Way. Okay, now you're going.
Jingle All the Way. Oh man, that's funny. Jingle All the Way. I had that.
Yikin says, "Let's talk about the Lakers in 2026."
My God, Arnold's such a bad actor. In the wrong movie.
Yeah. Yeah. RoboCop, indeed. Again, one of Paul Verhoeven's best. Basic Instinct. You could throw that in there as well. As far as his, for me, it's. I think I'd lean Total Recall and Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is an easy watch for me. It's on Netflix. It's been on Netflix forever, and I've watched it, I think, 10 times since it's been on Netflix. It's such an easy watch for me. It just such a fun movie. If you don't take it seriously, you take it as it's meant to be, as a satire, it's really an enjoyable movie. But I'll leave it at that. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. True Lies. James Cameron. There you go. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We had a suggestion, Joe, to branch out our channel into what I do on a regular basis for the Pop Culture Cosmos, turning this Lakers channel into something else. I think I just want to keep it at Lakers, and then we'll just occasionally drift off in the conversations like these. But
again, folks,
I've asked him to go ahead and be on this channel for Dodgers talk, and Joe doesn't.
I can't dedicate 162 games.
Oh, Fargo's good, by the way. $7,000. Yeah, Fargo's good.
The future, if I had to predict, is very bright for the show, because I believe there will be a time where this will become a primary in a way. Mm-hmm. We have to play it out. And our core audience is here. They'll benefit from it, of course. And then eventually it'll be something where maybe if we get extended out, we have a voice. We have a voice where it affects things. But I think it's going to be more adversarial. People will look at it as adversarial versus truth serum.
I mean,
I think it, but then again, it could be different, because I'm not trying to profit from the nonsense. Most of the people out there that are bringing quote unquote negativity to a discussion they know that that's how they sustain their livelihood. I'm just trying to tell you guys what is being presented. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it when I see something not working out. If it means not being able to be a part of the Laker organization from a fan standpoint, or a kiss-ass forum, so be it. I fell in love with Dr. Buss's Lakers and Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson and James Worthy. Those guys still live, and those guys still mean something. And that's what I'm trying to roll with.
7, I'm not sure what day. It depends. Again, Joe's schedule has been really busy, and mine is also increased off the air as well. Plus, it's, be quite frank with everyone, as I tried to be the other day. Some of you just don't get the message. It's a really bad time for basketball shows right now. Everybody has a lower viewership right now. So we're just being right now, instead of repeating the same things to you each and every day, getting lower and lower audience numbers, as we see some of these other shows are doing right now. We want to come to you on a select amount of occasions, so you guys will get the best of us like you did tonight. But Joe, when are you feeling that we could come back this week?
Well, I know there's material. There's always material in a dead time. The problem is time to get the material. There's plenty of material in August.
But I felt you burning out. You were even talked about it here on the show live about how you were just tired of regurgitating the same Lakers.
Yeah,
topic.
but once I settled down and figured out that, part of the talent that you have to show has to be, you have to figure that out.
I mean, I'm looking at Lockdown Lakers. I'm looking at Silver Screen and Roll, and these guys are just regurgitating the same.
That's.
Well, I'm not listening or watch. I get the feeds from the feeds. They get their descriptions, so they're talking about the same things each and every day, and they're contracted to.
Time is my issue. It's not. I can figure out material. There's plenty of history we could talk about.
But then we have to go back in history, and people. There's an audience for it, but the audience doesn't always want to go back in history. There's an audience that wants to talk about the now.
Yeah, you can do both. You just need time to do it.
Clickbait season. Well, there are channels that are doing clickbait out there on a regular basis, and they're even not getting numbers featured. So Joe doesn't like clickbait.
I don't. Yeah, this. No.
Name a player, trade rumors to the Lakers. It's like, I mean, it gets old.
I'm still trying to figure out where they keep pulling this Jonas Valanciunas thing.
He can't be traded until
I don't understand
February.
Why you would even. This is
or January. I'm sorry.
This is an absolutely ridiculous discussion. I wouldn't even click on something that said that.
He's going to be traded at the trade deadline, most likely.
Why would Washington sign him to trade him? Who are they going to trade him for? What, draft picks?
The assets. It's just an asset move, Joe. They didn't sign him.
And what assets do the Lakers have that come in December?
I didn't say necessarily the Lakers. I'm just saying that he will probably be traded.
But you're talking about the clickbait people. Talking about the Lakers. So this is not towards you. This is towards the clickbaits. Folks, answer me this. How the hell is anything going to change this coming year during the deadline? The Lakers don't have a draft pick next year. It's going to the New Orleans Pelicans.
No, Atlanta. No.
I'm sorry, Atlanta. Via New Orleans.
I mean, it's just you're seeing the same names thrown all over.
Maybe Gerald, maybe the crowd is telling you what they want to hear. They want to hear more other things. Stuff that you don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about political or religion stuff on this show.
Who talks about religion?
Well, thank goodness CB isn't here. But yes, politics. I don't want to talk about politics on this show. It's a sports show. We're going to
What if it involves sports people?
Whatever they do on their off time is their off time.
But I'm clicking on George Karl's Twitter to read sports, and Steve Kerr and his stupid ass is on there doing political stuff.
Now let him do his political stuff. That's his. He's the Golden State coach. Golden State coach.
So now every time I turn the channel, that shit is in my face. Now what?
I don't want to see. I don't want to know. I don't care. It's nothing pertaining to the NBA or the Lakers. After the Olympics, do we need another center?
Folks, we need everything.
Yes. Who knows who is going to be available in 2028?
And any center worth his salt is making $30 million.
And that's part of the problem right there.
Part of the problem is you have Jeannie Buss as the owner and Rob Pelinka as the GM. Tweedledee and Tweedle idiot.
Now that you can talk about. Now I have no problem you sharing your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I don't know how long that's going to last if this stuff keeps getting put in my face, though. I'm going to react.
As you always do.
Yeah. Stop shoving it in my face. I'm not shoving it.
And don't go to Twitter.
Where the hell am I going to get George Karl's tweet from then? My ass?
Just type it in the article. George Karl comes up in an article.
I did. Nothing came up. I had to go to his damn Twitter.
Type it in now.
I was getting articles from 2023 with George. No one gives a shit about George Karl.
I see George Karl on Sports Illustrated, his comments. George Karl.
Sports Illustrated is still making magazines?
Well,
did they die?
They've got a website.
Oh, okay. What do they do? The swimsuit edition of regular people? Is that what they do?
I don't know. It's George Karl takes massive shot at Lakers after schedule release. So you didn't have to go to Twitter.
George Karl takes massive shot at the Lakers every week. What's the difference between this week and last week?
That was exactly what
his whole life
today
is taking shots at the Lakers because he couldn't beat the Lakers. Not in Golden State, not in Seattle, not in Denver. Where else? Even when the Lakers sucked, they didn't really suck. Even when they were playing well, but not championship level, he was still losing to them. 1995. Look it up. 3-1. First round.
Jeremy, we don't have any picks in the upcoming draft trade. We do have the 29 and 31 we could package together, or we could just trade the 2030 outright. But we do not have any, like, for instance, next year, we don't have a trade there. A first round draft pick to trade there. So they could either they could bundle 2 picks later on in the decade, or they could just, pick and choose one that they can go ahead.
Really? Folks, you want to hear a statistic? You want to know the why? So George Karl, like I just said, lost to the Lakers in 5 in 1987. 1995, lost in 4 to the Lakers. 1998, lost to the Lakers in 6. 2008, lost to the Lakers in 4. 2009, lost to the Lakers in 6. And then I don't know what the hell this 2012 one was. Didn't finish off. So George Karl never beat the Lakers in any series.
Yabusele, he flamed out with the Celtics.
Sweetheart.
He flamed out with the Celtics, but obviously he's improved his game overseas. We'll see what he can do at an everyday level as the backup power forward on Philadelphia. I mean, you signed him for the minimum, $2.1 million. I don't know if he or the Sixers were responsible for the buyout for his team, I think in Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Hey, you saw what he did against LeBron, that big slam. Everybody's showing that he played well on FIBA. But it all depends on his three-point shooting. Has it improved? I mean, in overseas play, it was much better, but we'll see what the NBA line does to him.
So you guys, did you hear me when I said what I said?
Yes.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 series against the Lakers, and George Karl lost every series.
It's bitter.
Lakers.
I think he's solid. Again,
6 series.
for an NBA minimum contract, Jeremy, why not? I mean, my gosh, better than. I think he's a better option than what we have for our minimum contracts, and I'll leave it at that.
What are you talking about?
Yabusele, who just finished off playing for France.
Never
He
heard of
just
her.
got picked up. You never heard of him. He was busy dunking on LeBron.
So
So
Vlade Divac rejected Michael Jordan one time.
again, he was signed for the minimum for Philadelphia. So I mean, it's
great to know that. I'm glad to hear that.
I was asked my opinion on it. So there you go. I couldn't do any worse than a Cam Reddish or a Jackson Hayes or a.
We went from
Christian Wood.
Legitimate information about our topic today to some guy.
I was asked a question by our audience.
We're asking people to ask questions about the topic at hand, and you're talking about some guy with 2 weird names of irrelevance.
You see what I
You all want to know why he's like this, don't you?
Want to see why I deal with this here? See what
you didn't think? Did you guys?
I was asked a question by an audience member.
You're watching because we do the research, or we know.
But you didn't even know who he was.
I'm talking about George Karl, the topic.
I was talking about Gabriel.
Gabriel, I don't know Gabriel.
There you go. All right.
Xbox, you're not too far behind on that comment.
JSJ is the fact that Rob signed them all to those contracts, leaving them the option of having the next year for them to pick up. And they all took it because they all sucked. And they knew that they didn't have many options left. So it tells you something right there.
Very interesting.
You're ruining basketball. Huh?
Who?
Who's
ruining basketball?
I don't know. Okay.
Darren, what do you mean?
The greatest center of all time did not shoot threes. He's saying the $7,000.
Who's the greatest center of all
greatest
time?
Centers of all time did not shoot threes.
Yeah, but they would have if they were playing in this era.
It's a different time. The game evolves, or in some people's mind, devolved. You know, again, you put that 3-point line out there.
Feach.
Yeah, he's pretty new. Came in.
Feach, is that a baguette?
And on that note,
Darren, who the hell are you talking to?
I think he's talking to $7,000.
$7,000. $7,000 starting to sound like $6,000 now.
So when are you feeling like we should come back on the show?
Had Shaq won in 95 and 04, he would have been number 1 in my book.
Darren saying not Shaq and not Wilt for 3-pointers.
No way. But they didn't need to. See, Wilt is another player. He went 2 for 4 in the finals. Unacceptable. He was too good to lose that many times where it mattered. So Kareem is likely the best center of all time.
Kareem had a nice little mid. He didn't display it often, but you never know. He could have maybe branched it out to the
Kareem had the greatest mid-range shot that ever existed. It's called the skyhook.
Of course, yeah. No one's going to doubt that. I'm just saying, if he would have been asked to put it out there, the 3-point line, you never know.
Yeah, Kareem is, in my book, the best center of all time.
Okay. And on that,
who's the best power forward of all time?
You're going to say Tim Duncan? I'm not as huge a Tim Duncan fan.
He's the most accomplished power forward ever, though.
Yeah. Karl Malone.
Karl Malone, when you build a power forward, that's who you build, right?
Yeah. Would you put in LeBron James in that mix, or would you make him more
LeBron James is a 3 in my book.
Okay.
If you want to replace Bird with him, you have an argument.
Okay.
But to me, the top 5 all time by position is Magic, Jordan, Bird, and then Kareem at center. And 4, I'm always in limbo. I don't know who to pick.
Darren says he likes Barkley. Maybe the top end of Barkley. I don't know. We'll see. But again, good. You can't go wrong with those suggestions. So I'm not going to fight you on any of them. So
Kareem has 6 MVPs.
But he's not a 3 anymore, Darren. It's not a 3 anymore. So, but it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. When do you feel like coming back on the air again, Joe? Wednesday, Thursday?
I don't know. Let the people decide.
We need more people. So, tell me. A lot of people are taking the summer off.
Sure, but I like to cater to those who have dedicated their time to us as well. So let's play it by ear. We'll let them know during the day when we'll be on, right?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah. And just tell George Karl to suck one on Twitter, folks. Once you get through the piles of shit with Steve Kerr and his videos.
And on that note, it is Joe Sorrell along with me, Joe Glassford.
Yeah, I said it.
I know you said it.
What are you going to do about it?
I don't, at this point.
Are you going to cancel me?
I'm not canceling.
You couldn't cancel me.
What'd you say? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Next time you'll get a punch in the face.
What'd you say?
You know I can control that too, right?
Go for it.
Canceled. Shoot.
And on that note, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks again for watching and listening to our loyal audience. Truly appreciate you here. You're on the slow period of the year, and I know it's a little bit tough going, but we will try to make the best for you whenever we can be here to provide you some fresh entertainment. So we know those shows out there, those other Laker channels are pretty boring to watch right now for a lot of them. I know that Empire Jeff, Lakers in 5, they're doing the best they can, but some of those others, I know they're a tough watch at this point in time. So glad we could go ahead and brighten your day for at least an hour and 43 minutes. And hopefully we will do so in the not too distant future. And hopefully we'll do so again right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.